The sun blazed over the ranch lands. The air shimmered with heat. The grass was dry and sharp under bare feet. Inside a dusty cabin, the sound of a girl's screams cut through the silence. Emily was 21. Her face pressed against the splintered wooden floor. A heavy hand forced her down. The smell of sweat and cheap whiskey filled her lungs. Every breath was a struggle. She begged. She cried. But her words turned to dust in the heat. The man towering over her only laughed. His grip tightened in her hair. Her scalp burned as he yanked her head back. He slapped her until her lips split, blood running hot down her chin. Sunlight streamed through the cracks in the cabin wall, lighting her broken figure. Her torn shirt hung loose. Her body bruised and filthy. Each kick she threw only brought another blow to her ribs. The man cursed and spat at her. He said she was nothing more than payment for her sister's debt. Those words crushed her spirit more than the fist did. Her sister, her own blood had sold her to this beast. Emily's heart broke even as her body suffered. The sound of fabric ripping filled the hot air. Her throat ached from screaming. Her vision blurred with tears. And then, her hand brushed against iron. A heavy tool left carelessly on the floor. Her pulse pounded. Her breath stuttered. With one desperate swing, she brought it crashing down. The iron struck his skull with a sickening crack. The man dropped beside her. His body hit the floor with a dull thud. Blood seeped into the wood. Emily froze, staring at the crimson stains spreading fast. Her body shook. She thought she had killed him. She pushed herself up, knees scraping against the floor. Her hands filthy with sweat and blood. The sunlight through the doorway called her out. She stumbled, then ran. The noon sun blinded her as she burst from the cabin. The dry ground burned her bare feet. Her breath came in sobs. Every step felt like knives cutting into her skin, but she ran anyway. She had to. Behind her lay the man she believed she had killed. Behind her lay the betrayal of her own sister. Emily staggered across the ranch land, the hot wind stinging her eyes. In the distance she saw fences, a stable, the outline of another cabin. Hope flickered through her chest, faint but alive. She fell to her knees in the dust, clawing at the ground. Her cries rose into the still air. Her life had shattered under the midday sun. Then she saw him, standing on the porch. A tall man, gray in his beard, weathered by the years. John Carter, a rancher who had seen plenty of trouble in his life, but nothing like the sight before him now. Emily collapsed at his feet, her cracked voice tumbling out between sobs. She told him about her sister's husband drowning in gambling debt, how her sister had offered her up as payment. She told him how she had been beaten, humiliated, left to serve a man she hated. John stood silent, his shadow covering her from the sun. His jaw tightened. His eyes narrowed. But he said nothing at first. Emily clutched at his boots, trembling. Then she confessed the thing she feared most. She believed she had killed a man. John's voice, when it came, was rough but not unkind. "No man should lay his hands on a woman that way," he said. "You did what you had to do." Emily's tears spilled faster. She wanted to believe him, but the image of blood wouldn't leave her mind. John offered her water. She drank, coughing between gulps. For the first time since fleeing the cabin, she felt a sliver of safety. But fear still clung to her heart. What if the man she struck was alive? What if her sister came looking? The answer came soon. The sound of wagon wheels echoed on the dirt road. Two figures, her sister and her sister's husband, rolled toward the ranch. Emily's blood ran cold. She clung to the porch rail as John Carter stood steady beside her. The husband's face was swollen and bruised. Rumor was he'd been beaten half to death by the same man who had bought Emily. Now he wanted her back, to pay his debt again. The sister stepped forward, sharp and composed, her voice like a whip. "She's ours," she shouted. "She has no right to run." Emily shook her head, tears streaming. "Please, don't make me go." John's hand drifted toward the revolver at his side. He'd lived long enough to know when trouble was coming. The husband barked that Emily had killed a man and that she belonged to them. John's eyes flicked between them, the desperate husband, the venomous sister, and the terrified young woman on his porch. Slowly he stepped down. The boards creaked under his boots. The revolver caught the sun as he drew it, steady as stone. "Turn back," John said. "You won't take her. Not today. Not ever." The husband froze. The sister's face twisted with rage. Then, cursing under his breath, the man grabbed the wagon reins. The sister hissed one last warning before climbing up beside him. Dust swirled in the air as they rode away. Emily sobbed into her hands, the weight of relief crashing over her. John holstered his gun, eyes still hard. He knew this wasn't over. The next morning, whispers spread through town. John Carter, the old rancher, had taken a young woman against her will. Folks said he had hidden her. Some even claimed he'd bewitched her. Emily's heart broke. She knew her sister was behind the lies. John said nothing. He simply tightened his holster and walked toward the corral. Emily followed, asking what they would do. "We won't hide," John said. "The truth's got a way of cutting through lies, if we carry it straight to the law." They saddled the horses and rode for town. The road was rough, the sun unforgiving. When they reached the sheriff's office, Emily's breath caught. Her sister and brother-in-law were already there, telling their tale, crying their fake tears. The sheriff's eyes were wary. "Is it true, John? Did you take this girl against her will?" The room went still. Before John could speak, the door swung open. Footsteps echoed. A voice none of them expected broke the silence. The man Emily thought she had killed stood in the doorway, alive, head wrapped in a blood-stained bandage, eyes burning with fury. Emily gasped. Her sister rushed to his side, spinning her web of lies even deeper. But John didn't flinch. He told the sheriff the truth, every word of it. Emily's voice trembled as she confessed everything: the betrayal, the beatings, the shame. When she finished, the room was silent except for the ticking clock. The sheriff's voice finally broke through. "Justice will be served." The sister and her husband were arrested. The man with the bandaged head faced his crimes. Emily wept as the chains closed around her sister's wrists, tears of sorrow, but also release. Days later, Emily stayed on at John's ranch. She worked the land, tended the horses, and, for the first time, felt safe. John never said much, but his actions spoke louder than words. Together, they built something stronger than fear, something that looked a lot like love. Out here in the West, the world can be cruel and unforgiving. But sometimes the greatest gift is finding one person who'll stand for you when no one else will. Because courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a steady hand and a choice to do what's right. And that's the tale of Emily and John Carter, a story of betrayal, courage, and unexpected love under the blazing sun of the Wild West. Out here, life can be harsh, justice slow, and trust even harder to come by. But sometimes, against all odds, hope rises from the dust. Sometimes, the bravest act is simply standing for what's right, even when the whole world is against you. If this story moved you, make sure to subscribe so you won't miss the next journey into the dust, danger, and drama of the West. And remember, out here, in the land of wide open skies and endless horizons, the truth always finds a way to shine through. Until next time, keep your heart strong, your eyes sharp, and your courage steady. The West is waiting.